Coffee Monday is more than a podcast. It's a movement to reshape the way we approach Mondays and the week ahead. It's about embracing the reality that work doesn't have to dominate our lives. It's about finding that sweet spot where passion, purpose, and a cup of motivation connect. Filmed and recorded in California's Central Valley, join me, your host, Ray Pardini-Matson, as I invite thriving professionals to share their stories of how they're crafting a life that's both vibrant and balanced. Well, I'm so excited to have you guys here.
So happy.
Natalie and Darci. And I feel like we've obviously been friends for a while, and we've worked together through our partnership with the podcast and the beautiful florals that you guys provide and arrange. But now we get to have you here in studio, so I'm pumped. Yeah, so let's start with intros. I think it's always fun to give our listeners more information about who our guests are first from their perspective. So Darci, we'll start with you. Darci Hovsepian of DH Floral.
Yes. So I have my own little floral business, DH Floral, and then Natalie and I started the San Joaquin Flower Collective. I don't know, how detailed do you want us to be?
Yeah, so what's your background? Because before you started DH, you were a florist and you were working in the industry, right?
Yes. Well, I actually, if you want to go way back, I actually went to school for economics. I don't know where that degree.
Oh my God, same. Cheers to that, because cheers to studying economics and not doing anything with it. Just kidding. Actually, my parents would kill me if they heard me say that. I use my college degree every single day.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, it's coming in handy with some of the analytical stuff we have to do now, but
yes.
Anyway, I was really just doing flowers like for fun. And then when I moved to Fresno about 10 years ago, I was like, I actually kind of like florals. Like, I wonder if I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I really like it. And so I reached out to a woman that used to be a big florist here, Amy of Brown Bunny Flowers. And I was like, do you ever need help? I was like, you don't even have to pay me. Like, I'll just come work for free. I just want to learn. And she was the sweetest woman and just said, yes, oh my gosh, would love the help. And just started working with her and fell in love with it. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to kind of do this on my own. And I was so nervous to tell her, but she was like my biggest cheerleader and has always like continues to be such a mentor and is just, and if anyone knows Amy, she's just the sweetest woman. So
yeah, I love that. So when did you officially start DH? Because I feel like I remember, in the last... I think my perception of time is very bad, so that's why I'm asking.
It's either
I remember
pre-COVID or post-COVID.
Yeah,
so I think it was around 2017 is when I kind of branched out on my own.
Love it.
And then I realized early on I did not want to do big weddings. I think I did a lot of those with Amy, and I was like, this is a lot of work.
Really?
But I really love just kind of the intimate events, the baby showers, bridal showers, like the things that you can get like a little bit creative on. And then I still love freelancing for other florists too, doing their big events. Like that's kind of...
Oh, fun. I feel like you guys have done events together, right? I saw your throwback recently, and that looked magical, by the way.
Thank you.
Where was that?
In LA.
In LA. God, so cool.
I was like, that was kind of the like start of our relationship, I would say.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, do you think you could come with me? And you said yes. And I was like, oh, major score.
The thing I love from just learning more about the flower community, and we'll dive into this a little bit later, but I feel like just from learning more from both of you, it feels like everybody is so open to just supporting each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like not many industries are that way. If you get a bid for a big job, you wouldn't call your competitor and be like, hey, want to help with this? So I find that very refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really, I think it's, I found it definitely true here in the Valley, but also like we've started working with some other florists like on the coast and in the Bay Area, and it's everyone's cheerleaders. It's fun. And
That's
it's like,
so great.
the best part is going to work for someone else and learning how they do things, and everyone's just very open to sharing like their tips and I don't know, just it's a pretty cool industry and a really cool community.
I love it.
Yeah.
And through your business too, you've also taught classes. I've taken a few of those.
Yes.
Talk about those.
Yeah, that's always been kind of a fun little, thing to do. So I used to do a lot of wreath workshops and then have also done like a couple flower arranging workshops. So those are fun.
So fun.
Yeah.
I still feel like I use the skills I learned in your workshop when I
Oh.
just grabbed flowers from the Wednesday
Yes.
pop-up. It's great to know. And I feel, you feel kind of empowered to do it yourself, which is fun.
Yes, absolutely.
So DH was born. You've been in business now since you said 2017?
Yeah.
Amazing. And in Fresno, you said for a little over 10 years, right? Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Lake Tahoe.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. How'd you and Blake meet then?
We both went to college down in San Diego.
Oh, cute. Love
And he
it.
convinced me to move to
Pulled
Fresno.
you back over here. Yeah. There's always a reason. There's always a person or a reason or a connection. And I went to high school with Blake, which was so fun. So great. Got the Fresno connections. I can't. So it's so fun. So how did you, well, I want to talk about how you guys met, but let's give your intro first, Natalie. Give us context to how January and June came about and your background with flowers.
Okay, sure. So my name's Natalie Gear. I have January and June as my business, and it started in 2020, as a lot of businesses did. I am originally from Fresno, but I had just moved back with my husband and my newborn daughter, and we were kind of in this place where a lot of things had just come to a grinding halt. My husband had started a startup. He had to shut that down because of the pandemic. The project that I was working on had to shut down because of the pandemic, and so we came to Fresno. We were living in the Bay, and things just got like really isolated and scary there, and it wasn't how I imagined like becoming a mother, just sitting in an apartment like by myself all day, every day, and seeing masks everywhere. So we came home, immediately had like an amazing support group, and that was awesome. But I was kind of twiddling my thumbs like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
So what did you do before that, though? Like in the Bay, you said you were working on a project or working for
Yeah.
a company. Like, what's your background in work-wise?
Yeah, so I went to UCLA, and upon graduation worked for like a slew of startups basically, and mostly the common thread throughout all of that was marketing and event management. So
Awesome.
yeah, like whatever needed to be done, I kind of just got it done, and that I learned how to pretty much do a lot with a little, and I think that served me really well, even though at times I kind of was looking at my resume sheet and was feeling like, that toy that kids have where you like, it has like the magnet where they draw and then
Yes.
they shake it and erases.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of how I was feeling about my career. I was just like, man, like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. A
But-
lot. And then not.
Yeah, it's like my like job title would be like, there was my most favorite job was working for a startup called General Assembly, and that was like a modern tech school. We taught people how to do UX and digital marketing and like web coding and design and things like that. There were like 6 people on staff.
Yeah.
And my job was experience coordinator. And that was basically just anything that needed to get done. So I would like open the campus. I would like manage the staff that was like, working the front desk and like setting up chairs. The event calendar, like so planned all the events, all the marketing. If the students ran out of coffee, I got them coffee. It was just like,
Yeah, like
this
anything.
crazy job, but
Yeah.
I would like go home at like 9 p.m. I'd like walk back to my apartment, and that was the most fun I've ever had in my life. That was like the best job ever, but it was like full on.
Well, because no 2 days are the same, right? It's like,
No.
wow,
And
here
there
we
was
go.
Always something on fire, and I was just like, this is
Here we go.
wild.
I'm
Yeah.
putting it out.
All right, what's going on now? Okay, let's figure it out.
I love it. So you go from living in the Bay, working for startups, background
Yeah.
in marketing and events, to moving
Yes.
home where you're originally from. Haven't been here since when? High school or?
High school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah, we actually bought a house across the street from my old high school, Clovis West, and
I love it.
the first morning we woke up there, I heard the late bell ring, and I was like,
Triggered.
I was triggered. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, we're so close. But we got so lucky finding our house because it was like during the pandemic, it was really hard. Real estate was like kind of wild. So I feel really grateful that we found what we did and got to settle in and get our feet under us. And I was just looking around at the yard, and I was like, I have space to plant stuff. And I've always
Right.
been plant obsessed and always had like a garden in LA. I would have like all my windows would be filled. I was like the crazy plant lady, but
So you've always been that way.
oh yeah. Yeah.
And how did you even know about flowers or know how to grow, like that you were into it? You just were interested and kind of.
Yeah, I think I had my first garden when I was like 10, and I convinced my mom to like let me turn the side yard into a garden. So I
love
go
that.
home, and I was like super shy, fourth grader, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go garden now. And I just like spend my time twiddling over there, like with the garbage cans in the boat and like garden. So
I have a cute visual of that.
yeah, I was just like, what's she doing over there?
That's sweet. So
Yeah.
you've always kind of had it in you.
Yeah, definitely.
And then when you came home and,
Yeah.
after living in LA for so long and coming back, similarly, I mean, obviously LA and San Francisco or Bay Area are so different, but you take the little things for granted, like having a backyard,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
having grass on your property,
Yeah.
having a garage,
garage.
those sorts of
Yes,
things. I mean, it's
absolutely.
laughable because it's like really, but truly, I mean, right? So you were probably like, wow, what do I do with all this space?
I felt like I had a kingdom. I was like,
Yeah.
this is awesome. So I just started I ordered like 80 roses right off the bat. And my husband was like, okay. And I was like, it's for the landscaping. Like, okay. So planted those. So I planted my roses like first off and just kept going from there. And then I started eyeing, my parents live in Clovis and they have like an old horse arena that they're not using anymore.
Oh, amazing.
And I was like, oh, I think I need a little bit more space. So I convinced them to let me start growing on their property. And then I figured, you know what? I really, really like doing this. And I need to start selling some of these flowers because I have a lot of flowers now. So I formed a business and I didn't know what to call it. And I'm born in January and my husband's born in June. And I figured like, this is a crazy season of life. So let's just make this business all about celebrating whatever season you're in. And
Oh, I love that.
family thinks I've gone off the deep end, but like, what are we doing? We don't know what to do with ourselves. Let's grow some beautiful flowers and
I
our
love
hands
it.
busy.
Hey, that must have brought a lot of joy though, especially in a weird time in our world, like
Yeah.
having all of that surrounded by all of that. So beautiful.
Yeah, and I got to have my daughter's name is Charlotte. We call her Charlie for short, and just have her with me, like starting seeds. And we couldn't go to the library, we couldn't go to these play dates or anything like that. So we would play in the garden, we would play out at the flower field, and take all the flowers, and she would make her little arrangements in tiny little bud vases, and that was kind of cute how we got started. So
I love it.
Yeah.
So you started your business as a flower farmer.
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
But you also do arrangement.
Yes. So when I was living up in the Bay, I was freelancing similarly to how Darci, I was like working for a woman and learning from her. And one time when I was freelancing, another freelancer said that she worked full time on a flower farm. And I was like, I'm sorry, what do you do?
What? How do I get that gig?
Yeah. I was like, what? And so she, told me about the flower farm. I looked it up and I was like, okay, that's amazing. Pinning that as like my 10-year goal.
I love it.
Yeah. So when we came back to Fresno, it's like the seed had been planted. I didn't kind of pull it out of thin air. I was kind of like, all right, we're accelerating the 10-year plan here.
Yes.
'cause
Happening.
Fresno
Doing
has
it.
more dirt than.
And I mean,
area.
as we've talked about before, I mean, we live in the heart of so much agriculture, so much prime property and land, like great climate, all of that.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, we can grow almost year round here without too much like
Extreme like
infrastructure.
weather. Yeah.
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 There's people in like the Midwest, they need tunnels and greenhouses and heating in order to get flowers that just thrive on their own here. So we're really lucky to live in California, especially in the Central Valley. It's like perfect for growing flowers. So
Yeah. So you're growing flowers, you're officially started your business. How do you get people to buy them? Is that how you guys met?
that is how we met.
Okay, let's hear that story.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I would like someone to start using these flowers. So I start poking around on Instagram and immediately find Darci because her work is beautiful and also because she is championing like local flower growers. So in Fresno, there is no like, there's not like a San Francisco flower market or a LA flower market. So a lot of our florists were driving up to the SF flower market 3 a.m. on a Wednesday morning.
You used to do that, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like I remember.
So she would post and say like what she got from these local growers up in the Bay Area. And I was like, oh, bingo, she likes local product. This is great. So I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I'm a local grower. I've got some stuff if you want to come see it. And she immediately was like, yeah, I would love to come see what you're growing. And it was probably laughable at the time. I whipped out these like 4-inch stems and was like, what do you think of these flowers? And stem length is a big deal to florists. They want as long of stem length as possible. So it was really awesome to like get feedback from Darci in a really friendly and constructive way. Like, hey, like I liked using this flower, but it didn't have that great of vase life. Maybe don't grow that next year. And I was like, no problem. Yeah. Well, I will not. Let's try something else.
Yeah.
And she'd send me things like, oh, is there any way you could grow this type of flower? And I'd be like, I'm on it. Like, let me figure out how to grow that.
So she was essentially kind of giving you stuff that you were probably before you sourcing in like San Fran, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, like this just opened up like a whole new world for me because I always loved, I mean, the reason why I would go to the flower market is because I love seeing things in person and picking them out. Seeing what colors go together, like seeing, what new varieties pop up. And when you have to get everything shipped in, you just don't like get that experience at all. Like you have like your tried and true, like, okay, I know this is going to ship well and it's going to arrive and like I can trust this, but any of the specialty stuff, like, no, you don't really want to take a gamble on that if it's getting shipped in.
Silly question. When you ship in flowers, what is that like? Like, is it come in a box? I mean, obviously it comes in a box. That's a stupid question. But like, I've never bought wholesale flowers before. Like, what is that like? How does that?
It comes in a box. Normally there's some ice packs in it.
Okay.
And it ships overnight and you just say a lot of prayers and hope that it shows
up right?
the next day and that it looks decent. I mean, a lot of flowers are super resilient, but the more unique, the special, the pretty ones, like those are the ones that like they won't survive a shipped box. Like
delicate.
And and a lot of these that you're getting shipped in too, they're loaded with chemicals and because they're from South America and so they're they're made to stand the test of time basically so that they come and you can still use them. So I was like, I quickly realized like, okay, like I need to find a way to get, how do I get these specialty things? And I was willing to do the drive up to San Francisco just to find those.
To see them in person, as you said, right?
To see them in person and to like learn about the new varieties. So when Natalie slid into my DMs, I say, I was like, yes, 100%, I'm there. Like anytime I can come out to the field would be amazing. And like right off the bat, like she was like, well, what about this? Like, what are your favorite greenery that you like to use? Or do you like this variety? And I was like, wait, is this real? Like,
yeah. Oh my gosh.
I mean, they talk a lot about having a good relationship with your wholesaler, but it's like a whole different level when you get to have that intimate relationship with the grower, like the person that's actually like taking the time to, care for a seed all the way like to full production. And that I would say was like a huge turning point in my business too, because it just made me more excited about putting arrangements together. Like I knew where it was coming from. I knew who was growing it. Like our friendship started off of that. And I think that that's just really special. And that's something that we're trying to bring to the floral community here in Fresno.
So cool, you guys. Like, wow. And I feel like you're kind of a trailblazer in this because I've never heard of a flower farmer before you here.
And
no, I'm serious. Like
it definitely took off in 2020 when everybody was at home.
Really?
And yeah, flowers, like there is a definite link between gardening and mental health. And I think that everybody kind of realized that this is really good for you. And if you can get your hands in the dirt and work with things that are green, it will definitely help.
My mom is so into gardening. She loves flowers. I'm not joking you, it's a skill. If you show her a picture of one, she knows exactly the name. She like knows them all.
She's our kind of person.
Yeah. She is. I know. You guys need to meet. But have you ever thought about being like a master gardener? Have you heard of that?
I'd love to.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard of it, but it's like a whole thing, right?
It is a whole thing.
I've heard there's a lot
volunteer a lot. of hours. And
You're like, I already feel like I'm volunteering a lot of hours
Yeah.
to a lot of things.
I think one day
I didn't know
when
that.
the kids are out of the house, then I could be like, oh yeah, I've got these hours to go and do that.
Yeah.
But,
So I didn't realize that. We had just moved into our house. I don't know. I think it was like 2022 or something. And we were going to leave to go somewhere on the weekend, probably to some kids' activity. And there are cars like blocking our driveway, lined up our whole street. No, there's a master gardener tour.
oh yeah, the garden.
And my
tour?
neighbor apparently is a master gardener, which news to me. I'm new to the hood. I have no clue who my neighbors are really. She's like very involved with
Yeah.
the community. And I was like so blown away. These people buy tickets. It's almost like the home tour, but for gardens. Have you been or heard of it?
No, It's
It
in
looks
April
cool.
almost every year, I think. It's in the
Is that
springtime.
just for Fresno or is that everywhere? I was
I
like,
don't-
this is all new to me too. I
No,
didn't
but
know there
no,
was.
it's okay. So if you've heard of the home tour, like the Lock Community Guild home tour for Valley Children's, it's
Yeah.
like that, but for gardens.
Yes.
And
I
the
haven't been
Master
able to
Gardener
make it.
community puts it on. And you go to their, I mean, now that I knew at the time when I figured out she was a Master Gardener, I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, her front yard is just absolutely,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's just how fun to like tour homes and see all of that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't remember what time of year it was. You think it's April?
I think it's in April,
That would
and I
make
want to
sense.
go, but it's like it's peak season, so we're like
Yeah.
kind of scrambling a lot. But I really want to go. I really
so
do want
cool.
to go and see
It's so
what everyone's
cool.
growing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and just the layout, and I think garden design is such
Mm-hmm.
a different and like awesome industry because
Yeah.
it has to look good all year round. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm growing something that's like from seed to bloom, it's a certain time, and then I snip it, and then it's done. My farm, a lot of times, is not pretty. So to get
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
So like, okay, I know nothing about flowers, so I'm sorry. I get to learn a lot today. And I have the opposite of whatever a green thumb is, the black
Oh,
thumb.
that's me too.
That's-
So
What?
yes,
Ironic.
I know.
I would have never
I
known.
can keep an arrangement alive, but growing flowers, no.
Yeah, I know, right? So, I mean, I imagine obviously different times of year produce different types of flowers.
Yes.
Based on weather, all the factors.
Yes.
But what do you mean by like sometimes it's not pretty? Like, are there like dead
Yeah.
months where you're like, yeah, don't ever even consider growing in those months, or what does that look like?
So yeah, there's dead times of year. Like the middle of summer is rough because if a plant is alive, it's probably struggling or being eaten by some pest that really wants to eat it. And it's just dusty and brown everywhere. So,
Yeah.
and then the middle of winter is very, muddy and sometimes green, but sometimes it can just be really just bare because things are still very small and they're growing, so not a lot is blooming. So if you want to come out to the farm in December, you're probably just going to see a lot of like 2-inch tall baby plants that are just sitting there hibernating throughout the winter. But like if we're doing our jobs right too, like my farm is not this beautiful, lush, like colorful landscape. It's probably cut because I've hopefully sold all those flowers.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
So, and when we cut them, they're usually in a bud stage so that they last as long as possible.
Okay.
So you don't want something all bloomed out and sitting in your field because it's probably past its harvest stage and then it needs to be deadheaded and just kind of probably tossed. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you
the least colorful
Wow.
field is probably the most successful field.
that's a great way to put it, which I would have never thought of, right? But you have done some like photo shoots for select friends and photographers, which I've seen are
have.
so pretty.
Yeah, we get asked a lot to have
bet.
photographers out in the field, and I wish I could say yes. It's really hard not living on my own property, like being able to see, oh yeah, this is blooming right now, and it would be really pretty to shoot. I'm
Right.
not there, I can't really see it. And yeah, sometimes I really need to cut and sell those flowers, and that is unfortunately like my first priority. So it's not really like primed for a photo shoot. So I usually
So-
refer them to other people that.
That have more of like a photo worthy area.
Yeah.
So you meet, you obviously connect,
Mm-hmm.
you're working together in a lot of respects. You're finding that you can provide a lot to the valley that where people don't have to go outside.
Yeah.
all of those things considered obviously lead you to seeing the potential for the collective, but how did that actually come about?
So I felt like when I kind of heard what you were doing, and my parents' neighbors was also a florist at the time, and they were talking about how they were driving up to SF, I was just like, oh my gosh, you guys are doing what? This is insane. We live in the Central Valley. Like, we have growers here. This
And
is
land.
and land. This is not something you guys should have to do. And then I was kind of like a dog with a bone at that point. I was like, let's like figure this out. Let's figure this out. And like starting in 2020, a lot of new growers did kind of come onto the scene, but there were people that had been growing before 2020. And Mary Pat of Winnie's Flower Farm is like a Clovis farmers market legend, basically. I remember meeting her at the farmers market like for the first time, and I was like, hi.
Like blushing.
Yeah, I was like, is this a distant drums rose? And she was like, oh, you know your flowers? And I was like, oh, she thought I knew my flowers. I was like, oh my gosh, she's so cool. So she's
cute.
been growing for a long, long time.
Okay.
And so
Amazing.
just kind of like starting to connect with all of the growers and hearing about like what everybody's goals were, and no one was really selling wholesale to florists at the time. So
Yeah.
I kind of asked Darci, I was like, would you buy more locally if you could? And then
Yes.
yeah.
You're like, yes.
100%.
Very simple answer.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, as also for me too, if I'm doing just like one arrangement for like a birthday or an anniversary, it's really hard to source that and get that shipped in, and it ends up not making me any money. So if I can connect with a local grower and say, I just have a couple arrangements to put together, like, can you just get a couple bunches, then it just makes that so much easier and, well, also more fun too. But yes, I was very interested in getting more local flowers.
So then you continued the conversation of,
Yeah.
okay, how do we do this? How do we structure this? What was that like?
So I think it first started for me just reaching out to different growers and trying to get a couple bunches from one, a couple bunches from another. And I was driving around to different farms all over Fresno doing that. And then the growers knew each other, and they were kind of talking of I would ask Natalie, hey, do you have like a couple bunches of these? And she would say, no, but you should reach out to so-and-so. She might have them. And so it already started this, collaborative process. I don't know if you wanted to share from the grower side of that, but.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of times really intimidating to sell to a florist because they are looking for like perfect blooms. And so as we were all new growers, we were trying to think of like what's the best way to structure our businesses. And I kind of just started encouraging other growers, like, let's start selling to florists. And they're like, no, like they're not going to like my stuff. And I was like, your stuff is beautiful.
So who else were they selling it to if not florists?
So farmers
Wow.
markets.
Okay. Okay.
Going to
That
farmers
makes
markets. Just posting on Instagram, like,
Okay.
hey, I've got jars or wrapped bouquets for pickup. A lot of times, like, what people buy on the retail side is a little bit different than what florists are looking for. A lot of times you guys like muted, like really blushy, beautiful,
White splash.
soft colors
Yeah.
that blend well together, and retail side wants bright colors. Yeah. So as like the growers and I were talking, we were like, okay, let's like look at our planting plan for next year and get more like whites and blushes, because florists like Darci are asking for more of that color. So we were informally organizing together to get them what they needed, but it was messy and it was complicated and time consuming, and like, also on the florist side for her to then, remember what she'd ordered from all of us, drive to each of us. It was so time consuming. So
Yeah.
we just kind of sat down and kind of pulled the trigger one day and said, like, let's just formalize this. And at the time, the idea of a flower collective was coming onto the scene in a big way, thanks to a company called Rooted Farmers. They launched a software platform that basically helped everybody keep track of their orders and their availability all on one seamless platform. And when that became available, we were like, okay, this is definitely like, this is the sign or the
she
gateway
needed,
for
yeah.
us to do it.
Everything
Yeah.
started making more sense.
So you already were like informally doing it and working towards it. But then you see this software and it's like, okay, this is going to make our lives a whole lot easier and kind of formalize this vision, right? So that's essentially when the San Joaquin Flower Collective was born, right?
Yeah.
You started an Instagram account.
Yeah.
You made it official as like a business. I'm sure all the fun stuff
Yeah,
through the software and all of the things that's fun in doing business in the state of California.
I know.
And then did you like all meet? Was there like a meeting or like
Lots
how
of
did
meetings,
I'm
yeah.
sure, but like how did I don't know. What was
Yeah.
that like? Did you do separate grower meetings? Did you do florist meetings, both? Everybody all together? How did you like do that?
Well, the first thing we did was the field day.
Yeah. That was a fun event.
Yeah.
Field day. That sounds fun. Like a
Yeah,
field trip. Kind of.
Out to Natalie's field.
I love it.
So she hosted it at her field, and there were 3 growers that brought just a couple of buckets of flowers and whatever they had growing, all mixed colors and whatnot. And we invited all the florists, all the local florists in the community to come, bring your own vessel, and we're going to hire a photographer. You can come put your arrangement together, all together, and we'll have someone take pictures of it, and we'll just hang out. And
Fun.
Yeah, it was super fun. I
Yeah.
was like stoked on this. Like we were just talking about this the other day. And
When
I
was
like,
that?
That was in 22? No, 21.
Yeah. Fall of 2021.
Yes.
Because the fires were bad and it was really smoky.
Right. But it was, I mean, for me personally, it was just a really cool experience. I talked a little bit about just like I loved going to the flower market and picking things out in person, but to like not have any sort of palette or idea in mind about what I was going to make and just seeing all the blooms and like picking stems out and like what kind of goes. It just like was fun creatively for me. And you could see that spark in some of the other florists too. I think a lot of the florists get stuck sometimes in just these basic palettes and they never really get to work with the fun
experiment.
stuff
Yeah.
and have fun. And so I mean, that event, I think, like it seemed like it was such a small event, but it was actually like stands out in my mind as like just being like just really cool and special. And then getting to know the growers, just forming those relationships and then bringing everyone together with the florist was really cool.
With flannel in mind and dreams of all things pumpkin and fall, Dutch Bros is cozying up with their new fall drinks. Fall's bestie, the caramel pumpkin brulee, returns and helps give us a warm welcome to their 3 new seasonal flavors: the caramel pumpkin brulee breve, the cookie butter latte, and the caramel apple rebel. All of these delicious fall treats are available now through October 31st. So don't miss your opportunity to manifest fall and cooler weather in the valley with these seasonal drinks at Dutch Bros. The San Joaquin Flower Collective's Wednesday pop-ups are back. Join them every Wednesday from 9 to 11 a.m. at Sanctuary Coffee to enjoy a fresh cup of coffee, local flowers, and a delightful community experience. The beautiful floral centerpiece you see on our shows is styled by the incredibly talented Darci of DH Floral, featuring flowers that are grown and sourced from local flower farmers in our Central Valley. This is made possible thanks to the San Joaquin Flower Collective, the first and only source for 100% locally grown flowers in the valley. Their mission: to reduce the need for imported flowers by providing an easy online ordering experience and fostering collaboration amongst flower growers and enthusiasts. Plus, their weekly flower pop-ups are the perfect place to pick up some stunning farm-grown blooms every Wednesday from 9 to 11. Whether you're a wholesaler, retailer, or simply a flower lover, follow along on Instagram at SJ Flower Collective for the latest updates and info on their fresh bloom pop-ups. This October, Audi Fresno launched a campaign that blends innovation with community impact. In partnership with the Marjorie Mason Center, Audi will raise awareness for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. For every test drive of an Audi electric vehicle, the dealership will donate $40 to support the center's work with survivors of domestic violence. Audi, in support of Marjorie Mason Center for the month of October, encourages the community to experience the all-electric Q4 e-tron and Q8 e-tron models, which embody Audi's commitment to innovation and sustainability. So cool. And I feel like, too, as you mentioned earlier, if you're doing arrangements for smaller gatherings, you can't, you probably just resort to what's comfortable because it's in a small amount and you don't buy on mass scale, right? Yeah. So that's cool and fun for you to kind of have these florists kind of think outside their norm of oh, I get to be creative today and do things that aren't just safe and get the job done sort of thing. Yes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And for us, it was really fun because sometimes we're growing these things that don't always show up on a florist wholesale order sheet. So they don't know what it is. So they're afraid to try it.
Yes.
So we got to just put it all out on the table and be just try it out, see if you like it. And, lo and behold, tomato foliage is super fun to work with, but you'd never order that. So, we got to kind of show off our flowers that were our favorite flowers. And the growers that participated in that was really important to we were talking the whole time, just what is going to help us further our business goals and our goals as growers as well. One of my really dear friends, Raina from Blooms on Lincoln Avenue, she's an amazing grower. And, from the very beginning, was so collaborative and supportive of me as a new grower. She was growing at the time in her backyard in Clovis, and now she's got her own farm.
Amazing.
And so just constantly staying in communication, what do you think would make this ordering process easier? How much do you want to sell to florists? What is your biggest pain point right now? Do you think it would be okay to sell together? Do you think that it would be too competitive? Having that really transparent, open and honest relationship with the other growers was the most important thing to me, because the last thing that I wanted was to ruin our mojo,
Yeah,
we
right.
are all really close friends and want to see each other succeed. And so just making sure that if we're going to do this, it's going to make everybody's lives easier, and so that you can spend more time doing what you love, which is growing. So,
which again, I'm just so impressed with how collaborative the industry is. It's just so awesome to hear that people are coming together all for the betterment of the industry and the end result, not necessarily putting their egos aside in some respects,
Yeah.
And for you, Darci, your story earlier about for you to say, you know what, no, I don't have any of that, but so-and-so might, people don't do that in other industries. I'm just saying. I appreciate the whole, as cliche as it sounds, community over competition approach that you guys are taking. So with that, for those that don't know, because we have a lot to dive into and just the specifics of the collective, but just to start off, for those who don't know, Natalie, maybe we'll start with you. What is a collective?
Yeah. So a collective means it can mean something different in a different industry. For us, it means that we've come together to streamline the ordering and harvesting process for flower farmers and florists in the Central Valley, which means that we basically collaborate and list our availability on a certain schedule every week during the growing season, and then we stick to that schedule basically and commit to selling our flowers together to florists. That doesn't mean that we price set. Each farmer sets their own prices still. Each farmer can grow whatever they want, but it is a commitment to promoting the collective and lifting each other up as farmers. So that's in a nutshell how I view our collective. It is a business. So we take a percentage off of each sale, and that helps with our overhead costs, running the website and so many things.
Marketing materials and all the fun stuff.
Buying a million buckets, yeah.
So I know, truly. And maybe even you have umbrellas. You have cute umbrellas. I don't know if that's part of it too. I don't know. It's the things that go into these things people don't realize, right?
Absolutely.
So Darci, let's talk about the Wednesday pop-ups. How did those start? Obviously started at your house, which was amazing.
Yes. Well, we started as our focus was just going to be wholesale, and we realized, like, wait a second, we have a lot of extra flowers that, we want to share with other people. And so we were just kind of like, well, how do we do this? Like, how do we open it up to retail? I think we were kind of during our first year, we were kind of just putting on Instagram, like, anyone could come, like, it's open on Wednesdays, but it didn't really, like, take off at all. I think probably just because we weren't really pushing it that hard. And there's this week, basically, in April that happens every year, and it's when ranunculus just explode. Like, there are just millions of bunches of them all at the same time.
Amazing.
And we're like, we have to figure out a way to move this product.
Yeah.
And so it really just came together like over a weekend where Natalie and I were just like, okay, let's do it. We're going to call it Wednesday Flower Club. Like, let's get flyers printed. Like, let's put it out on social. Like, we we asked you to, advertise for us and put it out to all of our friends. Just say, hey, like, tell your friends about this and come.
Yeah,
And
so fun.
We're just going to do it in my front yard. And it was amazing.
Amazing. It was
Super
amazing.
fun.
It was like what dreams are made of. Like when I came up and I mean, it's just like beautiful florals, all these friendly, smiling people. There's fresh cookies. There's kids, toddlers running amok. And I'm like, this is amazing.
It was really special. And we were just like, wait, did we do this? Like,
Yes.
this is awesome. And I think, again, just to create, we had like such a close community with the florists and the growers, but to be able to open it up to everyone was really special and fun. Like, so we were like, okay, well, we're just going to keep doing it. And we took a little pause over summer because no one wants to be outside when it's 100 degrees out, especially not the flowers.
Yeah, good point.
But we just partnered with Sanctuary Coffee, and we're going to pop up there for the next, few weeks or so in our fall season and just see how that goes.
So fun.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything better than coffee and flowers? I'll wait, No. It's so great.
Yeah.
And great, close to where you guys were doing them before. So like for those that were frequent flower goers, it's close, right?
Yeah.
And how is that? You just had your first one since summer last week.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
It went great.
Great.
Really well.
Yeah.
We were set up inside, which was really nice. And it was actually really cool to see, like, people got their coffee and were with friends, and then they'd buy their flowers, and then they would just sit and hang out with their friends. And a couple people asked for, hey, do you have a bucket? So I'm going to hang out here for a little bit. Can you watch my flowers
that.
for us? So, and then
Almost like a coat check for your flowers.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
and then they also have like a little kids area in there.
Yeah,
so
it's
there were
super
some
cute
kids
in there.
playing in there. And then we have, we just had someone do some coloring book sheets for us that kids can color for next week.
That's
so
adorable. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
That is so cute.
One of our amazing supporters, Morgan of Florist Studio. She is an amazing artist too, and she just whipped out these kids coloring sheets. So they're just like the flower of the month is zinnia. So we are really looking forward to like passing them out to kids next week and watching them color them.
That is adorable.
Yeah.
A lot of young moms, I feel like, as part of the collective too, right? Like
Yes.
just kind of coming together and figuring it out together and bringing your kids in tow and all of it, which is so fun to see.
Yeah.
How are you guys navigating that individually? I guess, Darci, we'll start with you. How old is your daughter now?
my daughter's 9 months old.
9 months old.
she-
Honestly, as a baby, that's my favorite. She's sitting up
so
and
fun.
just
She's on
smiling and the
move
whole thing.
everywhere.
It's the best.
Yes. But it's at this stage requires a lot of attention and a lot of attention that I want to give to her as well. And I love hanging out with her. So it's definitely been a juggle with figuring all that out. But the best part of it is having a business partner that is in a very similar season of life and we can commiserate with one another and we also have each other's backs. I think we, maybe to a fault, but we're both the type of person that will bend over backwards to help someone out. And so when Natalie comes to me and says, I really need your help with this, you know that it's not just she's being lazy and doesn't want to do it. It's
Yeah.
like, no,
like,
I
okay.
really, I'm about to lose it. I really need your help.
Or I just lost it 5 minutes ago.
Or I'm lost and you got to bring me back. So great.
We have like a code word too, where it's like you just have to say it, and it's like, yep,
Whatever
I got it. I'll
the
take care of
SOS
it.
code word is. Yeah.
And that's been, especially for me as a new mom, I think that that's just been really cool to be able, like, we all want to be able to have our businesses grow and still be raising our children at the same time, or at least that's my own personal goal. And so I think to be in a community where, and a lot of our growers too, they have young kids as well.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of in it together, which
So fun.
it's cool to see how everyone juggles it. And it's like, I'm constantly in awe. I'm like, wait, what? You have 3 kids running around and you're doing what?
Doing all the things. I know. It's so fun. And you're there to support each other too. Like, and
Yes,
have the
yeah.
kids. I feel like, I don't know if they were, well, it wasn't yours because there were toddlers running around.
Yeah.
At one of them.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, this is so cute. This is amazing.
Yeah, and I think like that it's one of those things too where you reach a point where you realize you can't do this without support. Mm-hmm. And it does take a village, and that didn't exist before we had the collective. You
Yeah.
know, like I couldn't do what I'm doing right now if I didn't have other farmers to support me and, florists. Like this community that we've built has allowed us to be entrepreneurial mothers. I don't think that I could have done this without a community of growers around me.
Right.
And I don't think that you should have to burn the candle at both ends. When working together, you could all,
Be more efficient and
more efficient.
support each other. Yeah. It's amazing.
Absolutely. You could have bigger sales. Like you take one harvest list out once per week instead of being run ragged, trying to do your orders through DMs and text messages and emails. Like by streamlining this process and leaning on each other, like, if one week my cosmos get hit by aphids and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't fill that wedding order and I am going to like break this florist's heart, and that reflects poorly on the local flower community as a whole. That's not something I stress about anymore because I know that there's 8 other growers that probably have the cosmos that can backfill my order, and we work together to make sure that we've all got each other's back.
Amazing. Sharing resources and just collaborating.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Charlie. How old is she? 4, you said?
She's 4.5. Yeah.
4.5. I love it. My girls always do the half too.
Yeah. I know. She's like
Make sure they know. 4.5. And your younger daughter is
Clementine. We call her Emmy for short. Yeah.
God,
And then
adorable.
she is 16 months.
almost a year and a half.
Yeah, so last year on
we'll go with
Wednesdays,
that.
Emmy was in the bassinet, and this year
Aww.
it's been Eloise in the bassinet.
That's really sweet.
There's always been a baby at the
Gosh.
market.
Yeah, it's the best.
And one really sleep-deprived mom.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, multiple.
Right? Which is why the coffee comes in real handy.
Yeah.
That's sweet. So, what would you guys say to other kind of fellow working moms on maybe something that they can give themselves grace on?
Oh gosh, everything.
I know, right? I like what you said, Natalie, about don't feel like you have to burn the candle at both ends.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that if before you had kids, you were an ambitious, driven in your career woman,
Hustle all the time.
and you're a hustler, that piece of you doesn't go away once you have kids. And sometimes it can gnaw at you a little bit and you don't feel like you're doing enough or growing fast enough or, I don't know, reaching your goals. And I think that sometimes you can feel like you're not reaching your full potential, but you have to remember that you're doing so much more than that previous person did.
Yeah.
You're taking care of small humans and to give yourself grace in that respect. You might go a little slower, like
Patience. That's been my word
Project.
this year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is like
It's hard.
patience. Is like, yeah, you want to do it all. You want to make it
you
happen.
want to crush it,
Yes.
but it's
But
okay.
not
It's
all at
gonna
once.
happen. Yes.
You know, pump the
Otherwise you
brakes
crush
there a little
yourself.
bit.
Yeah.
Yes. Preach. I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that as well. And it's okay to say no to things. I used to always be a yes person, but now it's like your priorities just completely shift when
Totally.
you're having kids.
Yeah.
And it's
Trying to
like,
find
you
that.
know what? I don't need to say yes to 3
Yeah.
jobs in one weekend.
Right.
It's like, and that's okay. Like they will, your customers aren't going to go anywhere. There's still going to be jobs available.
100%.
And some of your closest friends, you can recommend the jobs to them.
That's
So,
amazing.
which is
So it
special
opens up the community for that.
Yeah.
So for those coming to the Wednesday Flower Club pop-ups, I mean, somebody like myself who's not a florist, who just loves flowers and loves the beauty of them, can come and purchase. But you've also mentioned that people can pre-order, probably typically florists, but also anybody could pre-order, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Let's talk about that. Who wants to touch on the pre-orders?
I can touch on that.
Okay.
So yes, we, with Rooted Farmers, you have to set up an account, but it's free to anyone to set up. And I think for a retail person, you just say, I think there's a couple options that you select. And it's just, I'm a flower lover and I just want to purchase for
Love
myself.
it. Love it.
So once you get your account, you connect with us, and then our availability goes live every Thursday afternoon.
Okay.
And it's open until Monday evening, so through the weekend. And you can go on and you can see everything that's available. And it's all, the other really cool thing I love about this platform is that everything is, you're listed by farmer too. So like, oh, I got those zinnias from Natalie last week. I really want to try and get those again. Like you can see who's growing it. It's not just
That's cool.
It's not just a blank spreadsheet that just says zinnias $12. It's like no, who grew them, which I think is really special. But yes, all of our availability is shown and how many bunches are available, and you just go and add to cart basically. It's
Amazing.
And then once your pre-order is submitted, then we have your order and you come pick it up on Wednesdays during our market, and so you can grab your pre-order, and then if there's anything else that catches your eye, then you can add to your order.
That's amazing.
So you could order from, Winnie's Flower Farm, Yosemite Flower Farm, Freckled Flower Farm, My Farm, have all these flowers in your cart. And then once you hit, place my order, we all get that notification. Okay, another order came through. I've got another 2 bunches of Lysianthus I need to cut on Tuesday. So I'll go out on Tuesday with all my orders, cut my orders, bring them to Darci's house, and then we sort them into everybody's orders, and they're ready for everybody to pick up.
That's amazing.
So typically,
I
we've
would
had to
like
drive-
hardcore
yeah.
keep pushing that, I feel, because,
Yeah.
if somebody's hosting maybe like a baby shower that weekend and they
Oh,
feel
yeah.
empowered to do the arrangements themselves or something, it's like, wow, you can literally like pre-order the whole thing.
Yes.
You could.
And the other
And
thing
we
we
help-
offer
yeah.
too is DIY buckets. So it's, if you don't want to go through and pick out, the varieties that you want, you can just say, hey, can I get a bucket of some, white and yellow blooms? And we'll pick 5 to 6 bunches of focals and fillers, and just makes the job even really
Wow.
way easier for
Do you do that pre-order ahead of time or day of,
Yes,
or both?
we recommend pre-orders for that.
Yeah.
So that we
Very
have that.
cool.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Yeah.
And that's where all the good stuff is too.
Yes.
Everything's-
Trust the pros to put it all together for you. Done. That's my kind of DIY.
Yeah, and
I
then things
love
can
it.
Sell out fast too. They
Yes.
might, they might be completely sold out by the time Wednesday rolls around. If you really know you want like blue delphinium, and you let us
Yeah.
know, we can snag it for you early, put it in your order, and then that's pre-ordered. That's reserved for you. So I think
This
that's the
may
way
be
to
like
do
a
it.
taboo question to ask, but you know what? We're going to go for it.
Go for it.
So, for those that aren't pros that just, again, want to put together their own arrangement for something, what is the difference between shopping at Trader Joe's and the collective? What would you tell people when they say, why wouldn't I just go to Trader Joe's and buy those? There's a lot of reasons why,
Yeah.
but I want to hear from you what you would tell them.
Well, first of all, I'm never going to bash anybody for.
No, I know. I'm not.
flowers at Trader Joe's.
I'm not either. I love Trader Joe's
Yeah.
for many reasons.
Yeah.
I'm not. I thank you for prefacing that. I'm not knocking Trader Joe's at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's a difference between buying local and not.
Yeah.
Right? And so let's talk about that.
Yes. So Trader Joe's flowers are really fun and really beautiful and very well priced. They're definitely subsidized by Trader Joe's to be a loss leader. So to draw people in, like, oh my gosh, these flowers, oh my God, a peony is only like $3? That's amazing. Well, a peony doesn't actually cost $3.
Right.
That what they bought that peony for is not what they're selling it for, and they're just knowing that they're going to lose money on it. And that's fine. They can do that. But I do think that sometimes it can muddy the waters on what a flower actually costs.
Fair.
Just
Fair.
like what is the true cost of this flower? Mm-hmm. So I will say that a lot of people come and they look at local flowers and they maybe expect it to be cheaper because it's grown locally. And it's a little more expensive than Trader Joe's. So that's going to be the first difference. Like our flowers are probably going to be more expensive, and that's the bad news. But the good news is
Yes, lots of good news.
that money is going towards like a family, usually a person, a real live person, that has grown these flowers as part of their business that is keeping money in the valley. And nobody in our collective uses harsh chemicals on their flowers. If they hire help, they're paid a fair working wage, which is not true of the flowers that are sold at Trader Joe's. They last much longer. By the time you buy a flower at the grocery store, it's probably been...
I have noticed that.
Yeah. It's like...
I have noticed that. Even the arrangements you did for our Coffee Monday party, I've had multiple people text me like, Ray, these are still stunning, and it's been over a week.
Lysianthus are powerhouse.
That was amazing. I noticed it too. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so they last longer.
Yes. Because they're cut fresh, and
Yeah, it makes
they
sense.
haven't been manhandled on, planes, trains, and automobiles to get to you. So they've just come from maybe 10 miles away to get to you, and they're happy. They've always been in water. They've always been in a cooler, so they're going to last a lot longer.
Makes sense. And I imagine the ones from Trader Joe's aren't locally sourced, obviously. They're coming from who knows where.
Yeah, I think like every once in a while I'll see that they have a local section, and it's probably from a really large farm somewhere in California. But I think that's not the typical. So I don't want to say they never have local, but a grower like me could never get a contract with Trader Joe's because they're going to ask for 300 bunches of very dirt cheap sunflowers, on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
For a certain amount of time. And so like for me to be able to provide that, I would probably need to use some pretty like powerful pesticides to make sure that I don't lose anything during that time.
Yeah.
So it's coming from a different kind of farm, I guess.
For sure. And I'm using Trader Joe's as an example just because it's a very recognizable concept to people.
And they always
the
have flowers
same
when you walk
goes
in the
for other larger flower markets or in other areas or other retailers, right? Like maybe even Costco. I saw Costco has flowers. It's like, who knows where all of those are coming from,
Yeah.
And to your point, the pesticides that they're putting on them.
Yeah, just
That's
use
like-
gloves if you're going to do that. Because I know a lot of people DIY their own things
Yeah.
with flowers from Costco especially. And I would just say, just wear latex gloves when you're handling those ones.
Like, what?
Yeah.
The fact that you have to wear latex gloves, that's disturbing, actually, on so many levels. But anyway, so many reasons why to shop the collective and shop local, which I love.
Yeah. I think also you'll see things that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
When I first started my business, I would do some pop-ups, and people would constantly ask me, "Are these flowers fake?" I say no,
Really?
because they had just never seen flowers in certain colors before or certain varieties. Like it was just brand new to them. So I think that that's another cool aspect of just bringing unique things that people haven't ever seen before.
I love it.
Yeah.
So cool. So would love to hear from each of you in kind of closing. I always like to share, what are your goals? What's your vision for the collective? And they might be different. They might be the same, but it sounds like you're growing the collective as a whole, and you're growing with exposure for those that are shopping these Wednesday Flower Club pop-ups. Do you have anything else you want to share with listeners of goals of we want to grow it twice as big, or I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think that the goal of the collective has always been to streamline this process of making locally grown flowers as accessible as possible, and make sure that farmers can do their jobs as quickly as possible. So I think that our goals are always changing because everybody's seasons of life are always changing. And this year, I think because we're so small and nimble, we're able to address problems as they come up. So this year we had so many ranunculus. And so being able to turn on a dime and be like, okay, we're open to public now, that solved a problem. So I really think that we exist to make this industry possible for our own small businesses to provide like a marketplace for each of us to thrive depending on what our needs are each time. I don't know if our needs will be the same next year, but I view our jobs as to take feedback from the growers, hear what the pain points are, and find a way to help solve those pain points. And so that's my goal always, to make sure that we're like making this job possible for everybody.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
And then from the other side, from the florist side, I think getting our florists to rely on us and depend on us. I think right now they're like, okay, I'll, order a couple bunches from you guys, but then like I have to get the bulk of my order because I know I can put it in like a month in advance. I know I'm going to get it. So but kind of taking a little risk with us of just because most of the time it all depends on the weather and what's going on. And so we're not able to confirm quantities to, like, we just do a week in advance. But I think just getting them to trust us, because it always seems like even the growers are like, I think I only have 4 bunches, and they show up with like 12 bunches. I feel like that happens all the time. So that would just be really cool for florists to, like we always say, order, if you need to order the bulk of your stuff shipped in, that's fine, but then like leave a little room for the special stuff for us. And then we're just hoping that percentage will continue to increase, and then local will be their main source.
I love it. That's an amazing goal. Both of those goals, supporting everyone.
And I would love to, if the general public, would kind of embrace like seasonal flowers. So rather than coming to your florist and saying, here's a Pinterest photo, can I have exactly this?
Yeah.
If you say, can you design with whatever's best in season right now? I think that would really just
be a dream.
Always going to get a more beautiful arrangement. And I think that would really represent a huge shift in like how flowers are done.
I love it.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay, so we also need to talk about, Natalie, the change of the name of your business. I'm excited because obviously we're going to plug all the ways people can find you. I know you're both on Instagram. Are you on other platforms?
I think I got a Pinterest
TikTok?
button
do we?
out
Okay.
there
Okay.
somewhere,
I don't know.
Mostly just Instagram.
Okay. Perfect. Same. So currently you're January and June blooms, right?
Yes.
So tell us about the name change and where people will be able to find you. Because by the time this drops, you'll probably have changed the name, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think this goes into that category of like projects might take a little longer when you're a mother and small business. But I absolutely love how I started with January and June being my business name. And I think it served really well for that time of my business. But as I have grown my business, there's so many other parts to it now. And I do like probably 2/3 of the business is actually more design work. So in our industry, if you grow flowers and design with flowers, you are technically a farmer florist. So I will be changing my name probably this week, actually.
Ooh, exciting. Yeah, do it today. No patience here.
I know. No patience. Oh my God. To the farmer florist.
Oh my God, I love it. So at the farmer florist.
Yes.
So great.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. That's awesome.
Straightforward, descriptive.
Yeah.
Just
I love it.
I like it.
I love it. I love it. So the farmer florist,
Yes.
DH Floral,
Yes.
and collectively at SJ Flower Collective.
Yes.
And that's the place where people can go to learn about all the Wednesday pop-ups.
Yep.
Or what the happenings are that week, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We love
Pre-orders, all of that.
Yeah, you can see like what's growing at each of our growers' fields. We do check-ins with them. We feature all the farmers, tell about their businesses.
I know, I've seen. That's so great.
Yeah, that's the place to really know like what's going on in the local flower scene in the Central Valley, and yeah.
And then all the steps to get set up on Rooted are on our website. So sjflowercollective.com
Perfect.
has it all outlined out. Because sometimes people are like, wait, what's Rooted? Because we keep saying, on Instagram, check out Rooted, go shop Rooted. And they're like, what does
They're
that
like,
mean?
what? That's fair.
But Rooted is our software platform that we use. And so you'll need to set up a free account in order to shop our blooms. But it's all outlined on our website on how to set that up. And
Love it.
happy shopping.
So if people, because I've gotten this question, and I think we've talked about it even before this, like if people are inquiring about, oh, I'd love to get an arrangement, like they're almost like trying to order from the collective's page.
Yeah.
Do you provide them with suggestions on florists? What, right?
Absolutely.
I can always
Yeah.
recommend a florist if people reach out. So definitely.
Hopefully
still reach
this
out.
helps people understand what the collective is, so they're not necessarily doing that unless they're asking for a recommendation.
But we
or
always
something.
love, offering
Yeah.
recommendations because there are a lot of very talented florists here in the Valley
Yeah.
that prioritize local. And so we want to continue pushing their businesses.
Yeah.
Amazing.
because they support us and we support them. So.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love what you ladies are doing. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful each recording that we get your beautiful flowers and your beautiful talent combined into one. It's fantastic. And look forward to many more flower clubs to come.
Yes.
So thank you.
Great.
so
Thanks for
much.
having us.
Yeah. Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
Oat milk latte, girlies. Thanks for listening. Feel free to rate and review this episode here and connect with us on Instagram if you have any thoughts, questions, or any guest suggestions. Thanks.